I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you for attending our second meeting of the month. We have a very full agenda, but we're going to try to get through it as efficiently as possible. So first, it gives me the very much distinct honor to present to you two new police officers for our village police. John Reimer, please stand, and Michael Whalen, how are you? Welcome back, thank you for coming. At this time, I'd like to, I think first I'm going to open it up to the board and let you ask any questions you have. Pete, Palin, and Sergeant Dunn and I interviewed these guys. We found them to be exemplary in what they do today and what they do in the police force, and most of all, I was impressed with your attitudes, right? And how you want to operate and communicate and work with our community here in the village of Rhinebeck. So I thank you for your willingness to want to join us, but I also think it's important for the board to see your face. And if they have any questions, ask. So first I'm going to open it up to the board, see if you guys have any questions.
Question. And this goes for, thank you. This goes for Sergeant Dunn as well. One of the things that people here in the village really want to feel is a connection to their officers. They really want to feel that they know you and you know them. And sometimes that's come down to having a presence in the central business district, like a foot patrol or something like that. Did you guys talk about that in terms of what the responsibilities and duties would be?
Yeah, we did.
Very much, okay.
Yeah.
I'll take it from the sergeant.
Okay.
Great.
I'd just appreciate like a 30-second or longer background on, I know that one of you used to be with New York City Police? Right, okay, great. That's a huge amount of experience. So I'm just kind of curious, like what brings you to Rhinebeck? Why, I don't know. It doesn't need to be long, but you're both experienced officers, so just curious about what got you that experience. And it can either come from the officers or it can come from Pete or Harry.
John, why don't you go first? Well, since you were the first one to interview, and I mean, this is deja vu all over again from what we talked about. So.
I do work full-time in the town of Hyde Park right now. Before that, I did 10 years in New York City, mainly focusing on foot patrols, interacting with communities, and interacting with shop owners to find out what basically whatever problems they had any concerns, or go into the businesses, talk to them.
So you know what, I'm going to interrupt you guys and have you come up so it gets on the speaker maybe, and then the camera can also see you. Do you mind? So smile.
Sorry.
Yeah. So Michael, come on up as well. Close stand, there we go. So talk about Times Square.
So when I worked in the NYPD, I got hired in 2013. We were sent out right after the police academy to impact sectors, which is basically, my sector was in Times Square. So I was on a foot post for 3 years, and what I did was basically I would talk to all the store owners, interact with the community, interact with the people that were, if they needed help, if you had a large quantity of emotionally disturbed people there, and I would try to get them resources, interact with them, try to find the best outcome for them. Instead of just sending them to the hospital, try to find another resource for them so they can actually get the help that they need. And then from there I did patrol in the 13th precinct, and then after that I went to Hyde Park, and then from Hyde Park I wanted to join a part-time agency, and I picked the village of Rhinebeck. Basically right down the road from Hyde Park also, so I can split my time between Hyde Park and Rhinebeck, doing both police forces.
Amazing. Thank you for your service in New York.
Thank you.
I'm Michael Whalen. I work full-time with the Town of Ulster Police Department, just across the river. Been there for about 2.5 years. I worked day shift for about 1.5 years full-time, and then got summoned to night shift. So seeing the sun is a little strange to me right now. During day shift at the Town of Ulster, though, it was a lot of community relations and being out there and showing your face to the community. And I chose here to have a second job and also to have another connection with the community. I don't get as much on midnights over at Ulster. But yeah, that's all I got.
It's amazing. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
All good? All right, this time, I'd like to make a motion to hire both John Reamer and Michael Whalen to the Village of Rhinebeck Police Department.
Second.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Welcome aboard, guys. You don't have to stick around if you don't want to.
You're free to go.
Pete, you need to say one more thing.
If you guys want, if you don't, I'll get hold of you, I'll call you up, and we'll set up the rest of the stuff, and I'll get all your side of the uniforms and all that kind of stuff. Martina, she's up at the board meeting. So. Danny may have, yeah, she probably should to 3 o'clock, yeah. Did you used to want her to text them to? Just jot them all down, text them your side, and insurance and all that kind of stuff? Oh, I saw it. All right, I'll send it to you. All right, I'll
All
send
right,
it to you.
well, there, Pete, so I'm going to move the schedule around because one of the things we had on our agenda was to talk about setting a public hearing for the vehicle traffic law, section 109 on Beach Street. You and I have communicated on that, and we also reached out to our concerned resident that also had expressed a concern for wanting to, for clarification, everybody, we're talking about from South Street to East Market Street. That one block second.
What are we talking about? Oh, okay.
That's what I said. I said we're talking about the public hearing for the vehicle traffic law on Beach Street, which is on the agenda. I'm moving that up because Pete's here and I want to get him out. I'm moving up into the schedule.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just haven't seen a draft law.
And that's what we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Can't draft the law yet, so you let me finish.
Oh.
I'll do that.
Okay.
So we had a request, I had 3 requests from a resident on the corner of South and Beach Street to impose some sort of traffic restrictions on that 1 block section. The concern was there was large trucks driving on that 1 block section and it was causing issues with not only their lawn, but with, with traffic flow. So trucks coming in off of East Market, Street, heading west, or turning on South Street, and then using Beach Street as a cutover then to get back out onto 308. So I met several times with that resident, and then I asked Pete to go over and also discuss with her as well. And I'm going to net it out. When, in the course of a matter of a few weeks, she decided that she did not want to move forward with doing anything, and so therefore I want to table this because there's no need, because the resident has decided that it's really not that important to what she wanted to do. So,
What precisely was her concern?
trucks turning on Beach Street off of South Street, heading
Towards East
west
Market?
toward East Market Street, and she wanted it to be a one-way going the other way.
Truck stop at the mobile station.
Or,
Heading westbound, stop in the mobile station, continue westbound, and then head back up Beach Street. They're pointing that way.
or limit trucks that were on that road. When we went back to talk to her, she decided that she no longer wanted to press forward with that. And that was the only concerned person that we had on that block to be able to, that wanted to change that. So after Sergeant Dunn and I spoke to her, our recommendation and her recommendation is that we do not pursue this. But since it was already on the agenda, I want to close it out, all right? And Sergeant Dunn, do you have anything else you would like to say?
No, I spoke to her, I was over there for about a half hour. There's no current damage to the area where she's talking about.
Yeah, is that what she was mostly concerned about, was
Yeah, so like I
damage?
said, the concerning with large box trucks turning off the south on the Beach Street. You can tell in the past, some of that corner has been eroded maybe just a little bit, but she has 2 big rocks that are in the ground right there, and there's no current damage to either one of those. There's no damage to the front lawn after that. Maybe in the past it's happened, I couldn't see any new damage at all. And, you know, like I said, if it's a vehicle, the street, they have to kind of go left before they go right. And what happens is if they kind of hug the turn and they make the right, maybe that outside wheel is what's dragged across. Right now, again, there's no current damage there. She says it's happened in the past, I couldn't see anything, even in relatively in the last couple of months, it doesn't like anything happen.
Okay.
I told her if it happens, if it continues to happen, let us know. We'll readdress it, you know, we'll reach out and see what's going on. I could even go down and talk to the mall station and see what kind of vehicles, what time of day, all that. I didn't have any times, I didn't have any dates, I didn't have anything else to go on, so.
Right. And we're talking about box trucks, not like 18
Well,
wheelers.
no, we're talking about box trucks,
Okay.
not even,
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Local deliveries.
Okay.
So we're not going to be setting a public hearing. We're
Right.
not going to be pursuing this on section 109. We're just going to let it go, okay?
All right.
But we're building the interstate on the northern section of the.
It's a lovely, quiet.
That
street.
intersection of Livingston and Beach just needs to be brightened up a bit. No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
I can't make a comment, but I would. I know the other person, but it's not actually on the lawn, it's on the public right-of-way where the rocks are. Yeah, and whatever, thank you.
We're not going to do this. All right.
I'm ready to wrap.
I hope that's why you were here.
No, it's actually because I haven't been to a meeting for a long time, and my Mahjong game was canceled.
Wow. Thank you for coming. All right. Pete, thank you.
Yeah, no, okay. All right, thank you, appreciate
Enjoy
it.
it. Thank you for all you're doing, and thank you for bringing those two officers in, and don't stop.
When do they start? When do they start?
As soon as I can get everything.
Right.
And it takes a while, it takes me about at least a month to get all that stuff.
Yeah.
Or,
We got to get them suited up.
yeah.
Right.
All right,
Good, that'll be in the new year.
yeah.
Thanks, Pete.
Yep.
Good afternoon.
So then I'm also going to jump ahead because I want to get, if you don't mind, Randy, I want to get Karen here to do the budget amendment, please.
Okay, so, I'll just first start with the vouchers that were presented downstairs for your payment. In the general fund, total $13,584.15. Escrow, we have 3 escrows that total $4,242.50. And we have a compost grant bill for $150. In the sewer fund, $222.58. In the water fund, we have $561.08, and we have a check in there for vendors for the water treatment plant grant totaling $658,303.89, which I'm in contact with Delaware and EFC, and I believe that those funds will be released on Thursday, which is why I have the check in there to be for now. We'll make sure that we obviously receive those funds prior to paying them.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the vouchers as presented.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. All right, and then budget amendments. So I have 2 that are kind of clean up from the prior year, 23-24. One is a debit to cash of $165 and a credit to the planning contractual expense. It was an escrow monies that were due to general, but it crossed years. So that's that one. There's also one to decrease cash by $28.64 for a miscellaneous account, which was overpaid to consolidated in a prior year. So those are 2 write-off checks.
From fiscal 24? This is from fiscal 24? This is from, okay.
23-24, correct, yes. And then, so I have those 2, but then the other ones, this is a little, I'm just kind of doing a little preemptive strike on dealing with the water and sewer funds that are in kind of bad shape. As far as the budget goes, I did go through this with Kyle to get some understanding of it. So I'll just go through the water ones. The bond anticipation notes for EFC for short-term funding. So we don't really, this is the first, we don't really know what they are until we start the project and we get the bill. So we have 8,500 for principal, 7,600 for interest. We have source power salaries, transmission distribution salaries, 15,400, 12,500. I asked Kyle, he explained to me that this is covering for one of the employees, for FMLA, for him going to classes, and for weekends and breakdowns that have been unforeseen. That's his explanation of that one. Source power, fees on employees, 14,200. Generator and panel box short repairs. Source power utilities, 13,400. There was an increase in the cost of chemicals as well as them doing more processing. So the utilities is basically the increase in electric. The heating, oil and propane, $5,500. And then source power repairs and maintenance, 17,200. And the majority of that was D&D excavating, which we have spent, I didn't bring it up with me, but I think we spent about 20, Camel pollution, we're still, I'll get to that when I get to sewer. But 48,300 is what we've spent with D&D excavating for this fiscal year. So some of what I'm gonna explain in the sewer is the same as in the water.
Okay, can we take like one fund at a time? Because I'm.
Yeah, we're doing that, we're doing the water fund first.
All right, because I'm getting lost.
Yep, so, and I can send around a copy of this.
If you can, please, sir.
So, all of those amounts, those overages, amount to $100,000. And my request of the board is to transfer $100,000 from the capital water account, and the balance after that in that account would be $166,510. That's the water.
All right, let's make a motion, and we'll discuss. I would make a motion to approve the water amendments.
Second.
Discussion.
How?
I should
So,
have had Kyle here. I mean, I sat with Kyle, and even Brian said about the increase in the chemicals and more processing. He goes, well, I should have, again, I want to, you know, the discussion was I should have increased the budget, but I'm like, okay, if I'm doing this now, then are we gonna be doing this next year? Excuse me. I mean, that's my question.
Well, we have a budget that we talk about at the beginning of the fiscal year.
Correct.
That is, I mean, this is they're requesting a 10% budget overage. The water budget's only about $1 million, and it seems like they've spent $100,000 over that without coming to us for permission on that.
Well, again, I think that they have come to you with some of the situations, the generator, the panel box. Again, I probably should have Brian and Kyle here for this discussion.
Yeah, no, I get that. I just thought that like all requests that we approved throughout the year were coming out of specific line items that we had budgeted for. Was that not the case?
It was. I mean, some of these are 5/13, you know, May 13 bills. Some of these are on this.
yeah, that's, Karen, that's my question. Why are we getting bills now dating back to July of '24 that we're trying to reconcile?
Well, these ones I'm not trying to reconcile. These are just overages.
I mean, I'm talking really about all the excavation that totals close to $50,000, and just having that. I know, I understand when a line breaks, and we gotta go fix it, and we spend a lot of time doing it, but we're just now getting them into the budget and realizing.
No, they've been in there.
Oh,
And they've been in there, I'm saying, you're getting close to your budget, and a lot of them are kind of 1- and 2-time big items that have come into these. I mean,
I'm just wondering if in the future we could get this sent to us so we can look at it.
I mean, I do send this every month in the operating schedule.
That's true, but what you're explaining now, it would be helpful to just look at a piece of paper.
I can, you know what? I can print out each one of these line items and everything that was spent in it for you,
That would be helpful.
and email it to all of you.
That would be really helpful.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, how, like, their job is to spend inside their budget. Our job is to approve budget. And, if we knew that there was like a $50,000 excavation that was an emergency, then like, we should have handled that kind of in real time. Like,
It's not one, it's a dozen.
okay,
It adds up
Wow,
to, so
but I-
there's multiple breaks in here.
right,
Line breaks that are fixed, it's not one, there's 10.
yeah, okay.
That line up to be that expense.
And water and sewer, right? Water
I mean,
and sewer.
is it possible for, I don't know if this would be Brian or Kyle or who, but like, is it possible for them to be able to say like, oh, this would come out of this line item, we don't have the money for this in this line item, we need to go to the village board, I don't know what the dates are on that.
Well, the first one is July 9th of '24, and the last one is May 13th of this year.
Right. So I'm just a little concerned that like, they're just sort of signing off on things and now we're like, we can't not pay D&D excavating because they've done the work, but technically they weren't authorized to do the work because we hadn't budgeted for it. I'm
These
understanding.
emergencies, is that why they just kind of happen?
I think I really need the people that make these decisions, and they did kind of just start happening
No, for-
fast and furious with the generator, with things that were not for the project, but then we had to do them before they started the project. I'm not justifying it, I'm just letting you know that, the chemicals in the sewer, the chemical increase, and they increased the chemicals for the odor control to handle the odor controls. So that was like.
That's a wastewater.
But, right, but I'm just saying, that was unforeseen from the prior year, from when we budgeted. I know that when Kyle came to you for the budget discussions and talked about getting the backhoe, obviously, D&D's already
Right.
wrapped this up since
Right.
then.
Yeah, going forward, we're going to be doing a lot of this in-house.
Right.
But
That's
that's
the plan.
50,000.
And that's why we bought the new excavator, to be able to do that. So,
But in the meantime, we're $100,000 over budget and like, I feel like I've had no warning. So,
Well, if you want me to table this and have a discussion with Kyle and Brian, then
Yeah.
no, because
yeah.
they're kind of the direct players in this.
yeah, we
And I
need,
did, I said, you're close, you're over budget. Kyle's like, well, we gotta get this, we gotta do this.
Well, that's fine, you gotta do this, that, and the other thing, but then you find space for it in other line items, like you do the
But there
work.
are no, that's the problem now. If there were, I wouldn't come with this solution.
Yeah, no,
With this
I get that. I get that.
recommendation, I would say, take it from another line item.
and how much was the generator? Do you have a breakdown on the generator? You don't have a
But
breakdown?
to further prepare, I'll give you a printout of all of these line items and what was spent.
I think Karen, something else, if you can break out what was like the emergency stuff versus what we should be budgeting for in the future, right? If chemicals have gone up 25%, then we got to make sure we capture that. So some sort of breakout between what is emergency and now what is going to be increased operating expense.
I do remember, we did discuss it here, and I don't know if this is the case or not, but chlorine ran on a short supply and we had to go get that. And that was all discussed and that was brought forward to you many times. And that was a huge, that was a budget increase. So what we're seeing now is the effect of some of these decisions on our total water budget.
Right, I guess what I'm just sort of expressing some concern about is that if we knew that certain lines were gonna go over budget, before today, it would be not just useful, but I think, vitally important for us to have,
Well, that's our job. We need to know that.
Right, yeah, and so like, how can we figure out, so I think we just need to figure out a way that like, either we lock these line items down when they get to, 90% of spend, And then, Kyle has to come in here, or Brian has to come in here, or Will has to come in here and explain why we need to increase their budget, at the end of the year.
In the general, like we do in the general.
Like we do, right, it's like, I'm just sort of, I'm feeling, to be perfectly blunt, I'm feeling blindsided and pissed off.
Okay.
So.
Like I said,
Very reasonable.
during the budget, I did mention a concern, do we need to, take a hit and increase the whole budgets? Are we making realistic budgets? That was my question, and both to Will and to Brian.
Right.
Don't just keep putting 80,000 in for utilities if they're now 110,000.
Yeah, exactly.
So I will get more information and bring this to the regular
So,
meeting.
in Karen's defense here.
No, I don't want you to feel.
Let me
like we're
finish,
going
please.
to- Yeah.
In Karen's defense, since February, we have been telling everybody to stop spending, right? So if these are current expenditures, that's what upsets me the most, because we've said
Well, current non-emergency expenditures. Yeah.
non-emergency expenses, and I would like that.
Well, I just spoke with him today and he just called Brian on something. Like I said, I try not to get into determining
Right.
whether that it's,
That's not your job. Your job is to
to tell them
tell us
we're
what the
over.
budget is, and, right.
There's a couple.
You don't make a decision on whether we spend it or not.
Thank you.
Correct.
I agree, I
But
understand.
I just, many of them just kind of came fast and furious the last 2 months.
So let's,
And since the project started in the water fund, again, my bigger picture is, are we making a realistic budget?
Yeah, I think that's a good question, because,
so how about wastewater?
We had camo, we had 30,000 for camo still before Will got
certified. Right.
So that caused some overage of 19,800. There was a tree down and some increased lab work in the sewage treatment fees on employees of 11,200. I told you about the chemical increase for the odor controls. They too had pumps that were very expensive that they did not plan to replace. Which ones they are, I'm not
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm really gonna need these guys to
Right.
Yeah.
kind of come
And we
in.
had a very explicit discussion on the pumps when we went through the budget,
Yeah.
because they were buying so many, and we asked the very question, does this cover all the pumps so that we're covered? So,
What's the total overage for wastewater?
For sewer, yeah.
76,090 for sewer.
76,000?
Yes, 090. I can pass this.
And so your amendment is to transfer out of the
The
capital.
capital to cover those overages. So sewers those were the balances at the bottom there, Lydia, after either using capital or the New York class. Like New York class, sewer has 600,000. They're in good shape. Water only has 17,000 in New York class, so they couldn't take it from there, so that's
All
why.
right, so I'd like to table the amendments until we get a report from them.
Okay.
We need it. I'd like to see a
I also
report.
wanted to just be on the record that I brought it to you before May 31st, even though
No, we will
Even though
make,
you're not gonna-
yes, we will make sure that nobody yells at you for not bringing it to us before May 31st.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I will pull them in, because again, like I said, most of the explaining is more of them, and it's getting on top of it before they go
Yeah.
over budget.
Yeah.
Yes. I agree. You can keep those.
All right. Is the general fund okay?
General fund is okay.
Oh, great.
Tax.
We got 3
Sales
days
taxes
and
down.
whatever creeps in June. But, so could you just do the first two, the $165 and the $28.65?
Both for 23, 24?
Yeah.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I'll leave you the budget. It was just a budget. That we're holding on the others.
Who made them?
Lydia and the first was Lydia. the second was-
Either one.
Okay, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Okay. We going to move ahead to change order number 6, which has been, it's a follow-on repeat of change that we've been negotiating with Merit Construction on, and that was for the Center Street project here. So to bring everybody, change order number 6, Merit Construction, Center Street, there's 2 issues. One is the puddling that we had identified very early over on the northeast corner of it, and the second is a manhole cover in the middle of East Market Street, which requires a custom manhole cover. Okay. Also, they thought there was a fix. Just to explain that, on that one there was an idea that a welder could come in and weld a new frame and put a new cover on, but that didn't materialize. So as a result, we've been pushing back because, to be quite honest, I didn't think we should pay for the milling that was to be done on the puddling over there, since that street was being true and water was supposed to flow. And so that has, Merit has taken that off of the schedule to do that. The issue with the manhole cover, though, has not come off. And we have to find out that we have to buy a new, very expensive manhole cover to raise that up to be level with the street, which is a DOT requirement that we do. The good news out of this is that through Brandy's help, Ty and Bond, they went back and they went through all the project unit cost items and reconciliation and really came up with $15,833.57 in savings. Okay? The bad news is the manhole frame and cover replacement is $12,000. So the net of it is we're going to, instead of $15,000 in savings, we're going to get $3,833.57 in savings.
And that's just under the budget that we authorized?
Correct.
Okay.
Anything I need, did I miss anything?
I think you covered it very well.
Is this a standard type audit that you do at the end of these big projects?
Yes.
So what's happening with the milling?
So wait a second, I'd like to make a motion to approve change order number 6.
Second?
Now questions.
Sorry. So what's happening with the milling situation?
As I explained, the manhole, when the street was paved, it has a new crown in it. So the old manhole cover is below the street level.
Right.
So whenever everybody goes over it, there's a divot there, right? Manhole's sunk down. It has to be raised up to be level with the street.
Now, that part I understood. I meant the situation with the puddling at the cutouts, is that?
So what I said was they're gonna come back and they're gonna do that work, and they're gonna kind of move the road to get rid of the puddling, right? I didn't want to pay for that, and we're not.
What's the solution on that?
So technically, the non-technical version is they're gonna come in with a saw and cut a channel to drain the water. Is that correct?
Grind the road down.
Oh, so it flows into the,
Correct.
to the, whatever it is?
They surveyed it, it's very, very flat, it creates a puddle, so we've asked them to come in and create a little bit more of a low spot so that it drains away from the curb ramp and into the catch basin.
And that catch basin is the one just...
And that catch basin is just beyond where the project area was, so it wasn't subject to any new paving, so it was very tricky tie-in. So, but they'll come back when they come to repair the catch basin, or the manhole frame and cover, and do the grinding work at the same time.
Okay. And then, just so I understand what exactly this document is telling me, so the contract price was $508, okay. Have we spent this $15,800? Okay, so we're about to spend another $12,000, which is still gonna put us $3,800 under the overall budget?
Correct.
Okay. And we authorized, this board authorized the budget as...
I believe you authorized the full contract price.
The full contract price, right.
And all the change
orders afterwards.
that everybody piled in here on it.
Okay.
While they're doing the project.
Okay.
And because this is a capital project, we don't have to like wrap it up before this end of the fiscal year, right? Do we know the timing on when they're gonna come?
I don't, we were gonna call them this afternoon and.
We had to approve this before they did the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be done this fiscal year.
No, there's no
It's
need.
got like 2 days left, so.
And I've been the stick in the mud here because I refused to sign on change order number 6 until we had this resolved.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor of approving change order number 6?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. All right. Next one, Brandy. When we went through the 25-26 budget, we had some of the things we talked about was to do a crosswalk here at Center Street. And since we had all of the preconditioning work done, it made it the most attractive place to put in the, what do you call it, the rapid flashing beacons, or RFB.
Rectangular rapid.
Rectangular rapid
Two
flashing.
R.
Yeah, and striped crosswalks, right. So, and there's been lots of requests from village people because this becomes a very active intersection, especially on weekends with the farmer's market and events and everything else. So at that time, I said I would go forward and create a task order to do that. So now we're at that place where Brandy has created, Time Bond has created a task order to do the engineering work of what it would be to put in the RRFBs here at the intersection of East Market and Center Street. So,
I have a couple of questions that are somewhat unrelated to this particular project. I don't remember that we were going to go out and get a task order. I thought we were going to get like a ballpark figure of how much it was going to cost.
we did, we got a ballpark figure,
Right, and I think we also, because I'm assuming this is going to come out of fund balance,
correct?
we also had a conversation that we were going to have a workshop.
And we still need to.
Right, and so what I'm a little concerned about, because there's also something else on this agenda that's going to talk about fund balance expenditures, is that you were adamant that we couldn't spend fund balance dollars until we closed out the end of the year so that we knew exactly what we were dealing with.
Correct.
And there are 2 items on this agenda that are going to require $15,000 plus an RFP of potentially $200,000 that was going to come out of fund balance, and we haven't had that workshop, and we don't have that number. So, you know, I still think, like, I'm not saying that this is not a good idea. I think this is a really good idea. The comp plan's all excited about as many crosswalks as we can possibly manage as quickly as possible. I think paving roads is also a great idea, but I just want to make sure that we have the workshop while we still have the money. So, you know, and also this particular project specifically, is this RRFP, that like awful sign that's now in front of Rudy's that flashes all over the place, that is going to cost us $10,000 a year of DOT maintenance?
No, it's not gonna cost us $10,000 a year. I
Okay.
don't know where that number came from.
I don't know, I was trying to remember it from the
1,300 maybe?
situation. Yeah.
So let's put it, first off, this is for the engineering work to do the job, right? This is
Yeah.
not for putting them in. This is to get the permitting, do the engineering drawings, do everything else to make it what we have to do to go forward. So you're not approving getting them in, you're approving the engineering to see what it would take to do it.
Yeah, we're approving $15,000 to come out of fund balance before we've had a conversation about how we want to spend fund balance. So like, that is, I'm just like putting a little like dot in the sand of like, I am frustrated that we're having a fund balance expenditure before we had the promised fund balance conversation.
You don't have to do it, it's fine.
Is there a way to do this without putting in one of those god awful signs?
That's what I'm gonna say. Is the beacon required?
Like, do crosswalks now require horrible signs that flash like at 1,000 billion kelvins, I mean, you know, in the middle of the night?
So, most commonly, I guess I should look more closely at the Ruby's one and see what the objections are.
I was just very surprised by its brightness at 10 p.m.
They shouldn't necessarily be illuminated unless they've been actuated by a user. So they should be generally in the off position.
Oh, maybe Ruby's needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
They were there working
I'll take
on
a
it
look in
today.
the evening
Yeah, okay.
and see what's going on there.
Because like we drove by and there was not a soul to be found and it was just
Flashing?
flashing.
Or it should not.
And I was like, oh God. I'm surprised that I hadn't gotten a phone call about it.
But I am surprised, Lydia, because when we had a discussion, everybody says, oh my God, we need something there. We need to have the RRFBs there.
That we need, yeah.
That was a general discussion that said, no, this is what we want. So
That's
all I'm
not,
doing is bringing the data forward so you can all make a decision of what you want to do.
right, that's not quite how I remember it. I remember it as a more open thing. You were going to come back with a rough estimate, which if we got that, I missed it. What is the rough estimate for the whole project?
And I gave that to all of you.
It's about $33,000.
It was actually 60. And then you all got that in emails to you to do the actual installation then.
At Ruby's.
No,
No, this-
here,
Oh, here, okay.
here,
That includes the 15 or on top of the,
did not include the 15.
okay, so we're
So it's
talking
75.
75,000.
60, I said installation.
Okay, I'm just, it just keeps getting bigger.
And then the other thing I wanted to bring up is in the comprehensive plan, it says that we should work, that one of the recommendations is to work with the village DPW and the Dutchess County Transportation Council to identify where to add new crosswalks and to prioritize. So we haven't done that yet. So I would like to be a little bit more organized. We're just getting the comprehensive plan implementation committee on board, and I would like them to weigh in on this and set the priorities. That would be my preference.
I think that's a good idea, but we have the sidewalk study from the original sidewalk study, which I think the comp plan is also working on, and it's going to be relied upon again. And that already lays out a series of priorities. And I don't think the priorities have shifted much at all since that document was created. So I think we may have that information already. I don't want to overly slow it down.
I have to say that if we're going to put in flashing lights all along the main drag here, we are going to lose a lot, in terms of the look, the historic aspect.
I would hope we don't have to put those
And there's some
beacons
places
in.
where we can't do it.
I think there's a difference between beacons on Route 9, where you're in a kind of commercial zone, and beacons over here, where it's a residential zone, at least on the other side of the street. So yeah, I'm very skeptical. I would not want to see beacons go into this location. That would be my O2.
Yeah, this crosswalk was identified as one of them in that walking study. It was sort of like from Chestnut to South, and then what appears to be Mulberry to Oak. Every single one of those intersections demanded a crosswalk. But so that goes sort of back to, to jump on your question, like, are these flashing beacons required?
I did not discuss a non-flashing option with the DOT when I made the inquiry to them, because we were using Rugies as sort of a benchmark, but I can certainly follow up with the DOT and talk with them. There are many crosswalks that do not have the flashing beacons, but when you have a crosswalk, you do need to have some sort of signage. So the user-actuated flashing is an added safety feature to bring the driver's attention to someone entering the crosswalk.
While you're doing that, could you please find out what the maintenance cost would be to us? Because we got a maintenance cost on.
Yeah, like Ruby's promised to pay for a certain amount of maintenance over the course of 25 years.
Well, they promised to pay, but we're not going to have Ruby's to
Well,
pay.
exactly.
That's not the
So-
same. We're going to be paying.
And we rehash that a little bit. They're solar powered, so the maintenance cost becomes a battery replacement when the battery needs to be replaced. That's really the maintenance cost of these things, since there's no electric. What the DOT is concerned about, if there's electric being supplied to them, what's the backup for if you lose electric? These are non-electric, they're all solar, and so the issue becomes replacing a battery.
But we voted on something like $1,200 or $1,300
For batteries,
Like, but it was a year. It was $1,200 or $1,300 a year.
A year.
if it goes, but yeah.
Right, I appreciate that, like, it is, it's not just putting in a crosswalk, we're also like asking to increase our spending over the course of the next,
Listen,
58 years.
I'm not objecting, I'm just bringing it forward because we discussed it and I told you I would bring it forward. So now I'm bringing the information forward and you can make a decision. It's really that simple.
Is it still $15,000 if we don't have one of these flashing signs?
So the situation right now is that it's complicated. So you have to have a
Ka-ching.
permit from the DOT to install crosswalks.
Right, to even just paint them.
Correct.
Okay.
And so we can build off of the Center Street and East Market Street accessibility project. I'm not sure, we already have a survey at that area, and everything's surveyed, so that's excellent. So we're building off of that to put the plans together.
Right.
I talked with the mayor about using a sort of lower threshold set of bidding documents because the cost is over $35,000, so your procurement requires it be a full bid set, which requires, you know, a lot more preparation. If it was under $35,000, then it would just be getting 3 quotes and you would just put out an RFP for the work. So that more expensive threshold kicks up what we have to produce bid documents for you, even if we do it in like the discount version. So the 15,000 covers the design, the permitting, and the preparation of bidding documents, the bidding of the project, and then helping you guys get into a contract with a contractor. So it's sort of our whole supportive process through. If we're just painting crosswalks, that is less costly. It may fall below the threshold for needing the full bidding documents.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm just sort of like, we've already done all of the work. We've done all the ADA work, we've done all of the sidewalk approaches and da-da-da, and it just feels like another $75,000 on top of that seems bananas to me to paint for like 4 sets of slashing white lines, like, and to stick 4 signs into the ground.
But it would only be the one, right? We're only crossing the street.
When you have a 4-way intersection like that, you need to have striping like in all 4 directions. And according to both the DOT and the national document, the manual for uniform traffic control devices, that prescribes the configuration, you need 2 sets of signage. So one in the eastbound direction, one in the westbound direction.
And how about the flashing lights?
Same, 2 sets, yeah.
If installed, if the flashing lights are installed.
And even if it's not the flashing lights, it's still the big yellow.
Correct.
Right.
Signs are definitely required.
Correct.
Oh my God. It's just like,
308 is a state highway, and that's really what's driving it.
I get that, and it's important to have drivers understand that they're coming into a village and
There's a lot of foot traffic
No,
through that
and
intersection.
I'm not denying the reality of that at all, and this would absolutely be safer than what people are currently doing, which is jogging across and hoping that cars stop.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are trained now that when folks have stepped on a crosswalk, they stop. It's actually a lot better than it used to be. But here, it's always a question. You step out, sometimes
People stop, sometimes people don't. Yeah. And I'm not arguing at all that this is a super important intersection and we need to make sure we're taking care of it. It just feels like so much money.
Considering what the whole rest of the project costs.
Well, right, I mean, like, you know, and this is the easiest intersection that we have. It's the cheapest intersection that we have because we've already done all of the ADA work. And so like, this is just, I don't know, I feel like I'm being asked to spend $3 million on a fire truck that 5 years ago was $500,000. Like, it's just.
Could we amend the motion to be like? Oh, I thought we did.
Nope. This is, we're just looking at the task
Can we
order.
make a motion that Brandy comes back to us for a task order minus the flashing signs,
If possible.
if possible?
What, you want me to go back and revise? I can do that, absolutely.
Especially if that brings it down below $35,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me have a conversation with Bill.
Okay. Second.
Aye.
Any discussion?
Thank
All
you,
in
Brandy.
favor, say aye.
Thank you, Brandy.
Thank you, Brandy. I'm sorry to be a pain in the butt.
Okay. We're going to move on to now surplus auction of Village Hall audio equipment. We are now all working, thank you. We are now all working with new audio equipment, new speakers, new et cetera. We have our old previous audio equipment over there, right?
It's all of those boxes?
What?
It's all-
No, it's what's on that rack back there.
Oh.
Yeah, what we used to before, it was a hardwired system, if you remember all the wires going around, and we've gone to a wireless system here now. I mean, it's in good working order. It's a professional audio piece of equipment. But at the end of the day, it's not worth thousands of dollars. It's worth hundreds of dollars, right? But
Specifically,
it's-
it's a mixer, and it's worth a few hundred.
Yeah, but it is a village asset. So it's really up to the board what you want to do. We can put it out on a surplus and auction off and see if we can get a couple $100 for it. Or you may want to keep it and put it in the museum. I'm not sure.
I think surplus again makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'd like to make a motion and put our village hall audio equipment, oh wait, I'm going to back up. We have the mixer, professional mixer, but there's also was all these microphones that we had that went with it. I think there's like 8 microphones. I don't see a need for keeping the microphones as well. And we also have where'd they go? The 2 large speakers. What happened to our speakers?
Are they back there?
Maybe they're on the floor back there. All right. We also have the 2 large speakers. That could also be going with it. All right, so there was a request that maybe the fire department could use the speakers, but it depends on how they wanted to use it. So there was a request to maybe for that, keep the speakers.
Rhinebeck Inc. could always bid on them.
If it's ink, they would have to bid on it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Okay.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to put not only our mixer, but the microphones and the speakers on the surplus auction block.
Second.
All in favor? All right, and for 30 days,
Yes, please.
right? For 30 days, effective till June, whatever, the end of June. How's that?
You can just say 30 days because it depends on when it gets posted.
Okay, 30 days, all right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Rick, you're up.
Okay.
Cap consultant agreement.
All right, so this is a really important milestone in our moving forward with our TAP project. Basically, this is the agreement with the consultant engineers to actually start to do the work. And this is basically preliminary. We won't even be getting up into the detailed design work. But basically, it's to explore the right-of-way, do the general drawings, get this whole project underway, public hearing. We've already had a kickoff meeting with New York State DOT, we did it anyway. They had a couple of minor questions that they asked, nothing that would be setting off the project. We've allocated money for this already, and...
So this $430,000, to be clear, is part of that $2 million grant?
Correct.
Thank
Correct.
you.
We've already done our allocation for
It's
this.
not on top of it.
Not on top. And so this will get the project really underway. I think we've been waiting for a long time for this, and it should be exciting. Any questions?
Yeah, did I understand correctly that there could be more engineering in the future?
Well, there's always a possibility.
But this should do the bulk of it?
This should take care of the preliminary. The detailed engineering will be done as part of the second phase.
Okay.
So they will bring us through a general outline. We will have, I believe, a public hearing. People will get a chance to look at non-detailed plans. And then, once that's all sewn up, then we move forward here. Yeah,
But there's no way to even guesstimate what that would...
Well, we have a budget. The thing about the TAP grants from the federal government is that they are capped. We got our number, and that's our number.
Right.
So we have to, if we go over that, it's on us. So we're going to have to really keep an eye on that, because as we found out, it's really easy for change orders to come through. I was at the I was on a webinar for the federal government grant process, and at one point somebody showed a picture of 2 little boats, and there was like a little dinghy behind a big yacht, and the dinghy was called Original Contract, and the yacht was called Change Orders. So I think we all need to be really cognizant of how that goes.
So I have a couple questions about the executive summary.
Pull it up, sure.
So one of the things I thought was in this plan, and I don't see it listed here, was we were going to be redoing the sidewalk through the mini park.
Yes, I think it's still on the,
It's not listed at all. And for those who are watching on tape, the executive summary says, upgrade existing sidewalk from Chancellor Livingston Elementary School to Trustees Drive for 900 feet, which will include ADA ramps and crosswalks. Reconfigure the intersection of Knollwood Road and Summers Drive to a raised three-way stop control intersection. Place a new sidewalk on the south side of Knollwood Road from Trustees Drive to South Parsonage Street for 910 feet, including ADA ramps and crosswalks at several intersecting roadways. Place a new sidewalk along the east side of South Parsonage Street from Knollwood Road to South Street for 1,750 feet. Future Bridge New York application for improvements of bin 2343770 over the Landsman Kill by the Village of Rhinebeck.
right.
Reconfigure intersection of South Parsonage Street and South Street to a four-way stop control raised intersection, and provide a road diet, which I don't know what that means, for 290 feet along the section of South Parsonage Street from South Street North to East Market Street, New York 308, to allow for construction of a multi-use trail along this one-way road segment.
Right, so, okay, to take it, I think in reverse order, the road diet is to...
I know where it is, that block.
Right, that block.
Road diet.
It means basically to narrow it so you can put a sidewalk all the way down. The sidewalk is discontinuous there.
Right.
And also create a little bit more of a visual barrier so that people don't go careening up the wrong way on that street. So the idea is it narrows the street, still obviously needs to be completely available for buses and all that kind of stuff. But that would be part of the project.
I didn't realize that this project, and forgive me for my ignorance, but I didn't realize that this project was contemplating doing work on that particular block, because I know that there's been a lot of conversation during the comp plan work about making that block two ways again.
Well, I can say that this has always been, I mean, since this has always been part of the project, we
Right.
can certainly talk about it.
Right.
I'm going to tell you that I think that's actually a really bad idea.
Okay.
Because...
Happy to be swayed.
Sure, because basically everybody's going to, northbound coming through the village, is coming up Route 9, they're going to cut off, they're going to come up South Parsonage Street,
Yep.
come careening through and hang a right on East
Market.
Market Street. And that's going to increase traffic on that segment incredibly. That's my instant analysis,
Right.
why you wouldn't want that. I think there's also...
So it creates continuity to that cut through that we don't want to create.
Yeah.
I get that.
Could be
To Andy's
DOT.
point, there's no mention of the mini park.
It is, I have the drawings, I don't have them here, it is part of the drawings that I have from Christopher. So I will double check on that. And the other one...
I'd like to make sure that that's included.
Okay. And the other one is that, and I just got this from Christopher, I sent some changes to Christopher, I just got this literally an hour and a half ago. The Bridge New York section is changed to reflect the fact that the town owns the bridge. And that's,
That part, Rick, that part we all know.
yeah, that, I know, yeah.
That's,
yeah.
you're not telling us anything we don't know about the bridge.
No, but
The issue is,
yes.
what happens if the bridge doesn't get done? What do they do?
Well, they have to tie, they're gonna have to tie whatever the existing structure is into whatever we're doing, and over time, that bridge will have to be renovated. But it's not ours to renovate, it's not ours to...
So if we do this before the bridge is done, then the town will then have to incorporate these new sidewalks into whatever it is that they do to the bridge.
Correct.
So then it becomes the town's problem and not ours.
And it'll be,
Correct.
so what's there now will be existing.
That bridge will remain, we're not
We
working
know
on
the bridge remains, the
Right.
sidewalk going across the bridge and all that remains existing as is.
Correct, we're not touching any of that stuff,
Right, okay.
so that's that.
And my main concern is the.
I will double
the
check.
mini park.
At our kickoff meeting, we went over some of the drawings, and I know for sure that the mini park is part of the drawings.
Can we make a motion to accept this pending
Sure. I can, and,
confirmation of that piece?
so here, just so you can see, this is the document that we're working from. You can clearly see that that's part of the project.
Just wanted to make sure it's listed.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, in the future, there could be some slight alterations. I mean, the path might be moved here or there or something.
depending on the
This is
drainage
not, we're
project.
not really voting on anything like that. We're just
No.
conceptually voting on making sure there's a path through the mini park.
Correct.
Is there also, just trying to figure out, so like,
What do you want? Oh, you want to
just
look
pull
at
up
the
that picture again? Because is there, no, so there's nothing on North Park, so the only access from Parsonage to
The schools
to the
is through the mini park.
is through the mini
Right,
park.
as
Okay.
it has been.
As it-
is.
right, as it has
And-
been.
Right, that's because North Park is just too narrow to create
Okay, right.
a way to get through it.
Okay. Yeah, and given the work that we're gonna do on the drainage, the location of that path might change, but it's still a path,
Right.
yeah.
I doubt it, but
Right. I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously, sort of from a convenience point of view, if we could have put a sidewalk along North Park, that would have been really nice, but that was just not in the engineering feasibility
Is it because this?
because of the big slope. There's
Big
just
slope.
not, it's just not wide enough.
Got it.
And my only other question is, the consultant, which they picked, right, is in this document, which is fine.
It's GPI.
Well, no, it's.
They have they're right-of-way guys and people like
It's
that?
another person.
They have some subs.
It's somebody else. It's Greenman, it is
That's it,
GPI.
yeah,
It is
that's
GPI,
GPI.
I'm sorry. There's a lot of stuff that they need. I don't know this is more of a project management kind of piece. They want a lot of documentation.
It's gonna be on me. I'm the RLPL.
Right. It says, whereas the deputy mayor is authorized to enter an agreement on behalf of the village.
Yep. I'm the locally responsible public, whatever, it's acronym soup out there, so.
Right. So make sure you're ready for that.
Yep.
Thanks, Rick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve the TAP consultant agreement with the amendment that the executive session or the document includes the sidewalk through the mini park to the high school.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Have fun.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
There we go. It's getting fun now.
It's getting real.
Green, Vanessa, the green municipal building policy.
Yes, so this is what I brought up. I brought up this at our previous meeting. I did incorporate suggestions, thank you, Gary. So I'd like to make a motion to pass the green municipal buildings policy. I actually had a resolution from the prior meeting, so I'd like to make a motion that we accept that resolution.
Second.
Any questions?
Discussion. So my amendments were just from me doing research out on the internet in terms of what New York State has done. In terms of when I talk about it applies to any and all work considered a major renovation project that is over 4,000 square feet. That was a general statement. I don't know if that's accurate, right? And for new building construction that is over 10,000 square feet. In general, they were 50,000 square feet, but they were big cities and big things and all that kind of stuff, right? And so
I think those make sense for our scale.
I'm putting a placeholder out there that says at least that. And I want to be very explicit about the fact that if we were to ever build a highway garages are ineligible to meet standard, right?
Yeah, 'cause they're open all the time.
Garages are open.
Yeah.
Fire departments can, right? There's proof that fire departments can do it and all that kind of stuff in New York State. And you can build a fire department that meets the lead standard. But if we were to build a new highway garage, which I hope someday we do, right? That is an ineligible project, but it's clearly listed. That's why I put in there for projects that are not eligible for this, right? To make sure that we have that covered. And my last thing is like, there's water treatment plant processes that you can build a building, and in that building, there's moisture and condensation and water and all other kind of stuff that will never meet a LEED standard. So again, that's one part of the things that says it's ineligible to be able to do that, all right? Because you listed out if it's an upgrade, that's, doesn't be considered, but in the process, we're building a new building now, right, at our water treatment plant. That'll be ineligible to meet lead standard because it's just the amount of condensation you're getting.
Right.
You know, you couldn't put an HVAC system that ever be able to handle that,
Yeah.
which is what we talked about. You brought up the question of the heating system for that at our last meeting, remember? So we're just gonna be causing it.
Yeah.
And because like the town of Rhinebeck passed a law in 2009 when this became very popular, but then in 2016, they decided they couldn't meet the law, so they abolished the law, right? So I don't want to create something that we can't meet, that's all.
It's a resolution, not a law.
I know, I
Yeah.
understand, but it's still, it's a desire to meet this,
Yeah,
right? Same thing.
go ahead, eyes wide open.
Okay. All in favor, say, any other question?
I was just gonna, does this help with the
So
silver?
Yes.
Great.
That's the main reason. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rick, road paving.
Oh. Okay, this is still kind of this would be a bit of a discussion you guys haven't heard. All of this. Basically, we had John at Highway had a walkthrough with one of the local contractors to get a sense for the road work that needed to be done and to just kind of get a working estimate about how much milling, how much paving, et cetera, et cetera. So that person came through with a startlingly low number, which upon further examination
Perhaps higher.
right, is significantly higher. So right now, I'm in the process of writing an RFP to get about half of the roads on our list done right now, with one option. One of the options is to mill and pave the roads as they are currently configured. The preferable solution would be to take a couple of feet off of, about 2 feet off of some of our roads. We have roads that are up at 30 and 28 feet wide, and it would be nice to see them come down to about 26 feet wide. That's a nice, it's a nice enough width people can park, but it slows down traffic. And that's the most important thing that we can do to increase safety here in the village, is basically slow down cars. The issue with safety in cars is that you'll never prevent all the accidents that are going to happen, but the goal is when they do happen, you want them to happen as at low a speed as possible. And in general, that means narrow roads and actually cars parked on the road and people being in the road, because that's what slows traffic down. So I'm putting together an RFP, one for the roads to replace the roads as is, and then the second one to do some selective narrowing on these roads. That may drive up costs because we have to connect people's driveways to the new pavement, and that requires a bit of specialty work along the way. We also have to have some level of fill and seeding, and that turns out clean fill is pretty expensive. So we're going to be putting together, I'll be putting together a bid package, and I'll be running it through the mayor. I've had a discussion today with John about some of the conditions that we need to go through. So we'll be putting that together. Hopefully we'll see it at the next meeting.
Great.
And I got nothing else right now.
Oh, we do know. You do know it's going to be in excess of $500,000.
Well, we may drop some stuff from that, yeah.
Unless you drop it down.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think we're going to wind up trimming a few roads additionally.
But just so, I think it's important that we're all clear on this, how much of that $500,000 is chips?
$265,000.
Right. So, we have $265,000 to spend of free money, of state money to spend on this project. And so anything above $265,000 would have to come either out of capital streets or out of fund balance.
And just make sure it's not just CHIPS, it's CHIPS plus Road Pave New York. So it's two funds that we get money from.
Okay.
both of which are used for these things. Yes, and we have, and I don't have it in front of me, we do have a capital streets account,
Yeah, I think it's about $100,000.
which has a good bit of money in it.
Right. So, you know,
So the goal here, this was all really kicked off because we've been trying to do a mile or so, a little bit less of paving every year, and it's just getting more and more expensive. And one of the issues is something called mobilization. Basically, basically they charge you every time they pick up and put down a piece of equipment, like to move it to a new location. Basically, if we can do a big batch all at once, the unit price comes way down.
Right.
That's why this option came about and why we're thinking about it rather than going about our business as we had before, which is about the goal of 0.8 miles a year.
yeah, at about $200,000 a pop. And
Correct.
so, you know, if we can get half of our roads done, which is what, 6.5 miles, for $500,000, let's just say, that's way less expensive than doing an eighth of a mile at $200,000.
Yes,
You know.
that's the,
Let me correct it, the 6.5 miles was the full list of all of it. This would cut it down to about 2.5 to 3 miles for this amount of money.
Okay.
Okay, so 6.5 miles is all the roads that we need to complete, we haven't paved so far. That was 900,000 as a walkthrough bid. If you reduce that down,
Okay.
you're gonna be down to like under 3 miles, okay?
Okay.
So we can break the project up into several pieces over maybe a couple of years, but
We're gonna
it's
have
still
to.
chewing more off.
Right, but every time you break it up into a separate piece, you have the $150,000 mobilization cost.
right, we just don't have the cash.
Right.
To do it anyway.
Yeah, that 150,000 mobilization was looking at all of the 18 segments of road that we were looking at. So,
Right, but like when we've looked at these bids in the past, you know, half of it is,
Not half, but a substantial proportion.
well, yeah, right. Okay.
all right, so you're going back next month.
Correct.
Thank you.
Martina, do you have all of the minutes for the budget meetings, the dates? I don't have the dates in front of me.
Have the dates as reference minutes.
I have some dates.
I don't have the dates.
Hang on.
Where are the dates?
Okay. So we have Tuesday, March 25th at 4:30 PM.
So moved.
Tuesday, March 4th at 3:30 PM. And there should be
So moved.
one more, right?
You guys want a second?
Second.
Thank you.
And Thursday, March 6th at 2 PM.
So moved.
Second.
March what?
6.
At 2 PM.
Who seconded?
I did.
Could we say as amended?
Yes.
You motioned it.
I motioned it.
Oh.
Making a motion?
As amended.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay,
It's 4 total, right?
No, that was only 3.
3.
3.
There should have been,
There's 4. Hold on.
3? 4?
Tuesday, March 4th at 3:30.
we already have that.
My apologies.
That's all right. Thursday, March 27th at 2.
I don't have that. I have March 25th.
Thursday, March 6th at 2.
I have that.
And Tuesday, March 25th at 4:30.
Okay, so I just need March 27th.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Special requests. First one I'm going to talk about is the crane and rigging request. This request, by the way, has to be tabled. It requires to come through the building and planning department first, Martina. Yeah, so today we found out that they had not come forward with the permit application for building, planning, and zoning. Police and everybody approved it, but the planning board hasn't. So The request to do this work has to come through,
To change an antenna?
what?
To change the antenna?
Yeah.
Oh.
It has to go in front of
Planning
the
board,
planning
and the
board?
planning board wants them to come up in front of them before they approve it. So the request from the building and planning department is that we table this until they get in front of the building and planning board.
Oh, is this the tower over, oh, I know why. Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
So we're gonna table, that one will be tabled.
That's good, actually, that they're coming back in front of us.
Juneteenth display, again, as we've done every year, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Juneteenth display for the Rhinebeck Central School District to place a display out here in front of Village Hall. Installation is June 18th, tear down on June 27th.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
BMS Solo Small Ensemble Concert. This is from the music department, from, again, the Rhinebeck High School, for a small ensemble concert. Students from the Buckley Band and the choir will be performing solos and small assemblies as they've been in preparing for school. The date is June 10th, weather permitting, from 2:30 to, well, starting at 3 o'clock, ending at 4 o'clock in the grassy area from the municipal lot.
The Doughboy Park? I know they said the grassy area in front of the municipal lot, but are we talking about the Doughboy Park?
Yeah.
Okay.
In front of where the Doughboy is. Yeah.
I know it's not technically called the Doughboy Park, but that's what we all call it.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the BMS Music Department to perform on June 10th.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Next one is Lions Club Ducky Race.
Rubber ducks.
It's by the Rhinebeck Lions Club for the annual picnic for members of the Ryan Club, and there will be a rubber duck race as part of the festivities. The date is on June 7th. Potential postponement dates on weather are June 8th, June 14th, June 21st, or June 22nd.
Keepers.
Event time is 11, end time is at 3 p.m.
Second.
I'd like to make a motion to approve. Thank you
Second.
for jumping in on it. Any discussion? 6/14, the park will not be available. There's already a planned event for the 14th. So I would like to amend their thing to include weather dates to be either 6/8, 6/21, or 6/22.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
No, wait, one sec. We did, wasn't last year, they've done this before.
Yes.
And there was a question about making sure they got all the ducks, right? And do you remember how that went down, or with the?
To make sure the ducks didn't end up in the Hudson River.
Exactly.
Or we're going over, swimming over the dam.
Yeah.
Yeah, or what, I mean, I know that they did that, and I thought we had special mention of that last
I
year.
think they had nets or something, right?
Okay. Okay.
I'd like to make an amendment to make sure that all of the ducks come out of the, all the ducks that go into the water come out of the water.
Yeah.
Second on that one, yeah. I mean, I believe we had a discussion of it last year about how they were going to do it, and we kind of cleared it up, but I see they didn't,
It's not mentioned.
it's not mentioned this time around.
Yeah.
I'm sure that they're going to do that.
Okay, any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss employee merit-based raises tied to performance.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to close the executive session.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion on the following resolutions. Be it resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Rhinebeck, that the following mayor and trustees shall, effective upon approval of this resolution, be entitled to receive the salary set forth in the table below, Salaries are in effect from June 2nd, 2025 through June 1st, 2026. Mayor, $25,000. This is yearly, $25,000.
An hour.
Yeah, yearly. Don't say that on there. Deputy Mayor and Trustee Rick Lewitt, $12,000. Trustee Lydia Slavy, $12,000. Trustee Vanessa Bertozzi, $12,000. Trustee Eleanor Pupko, $12,000. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Wait, do you want a second for that first motion?
Second.
Thank you.
Okay,
And then vote.
okay.
We'll do them all individually.
So we have a first and a second, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All in favor? Any discussion? I should say. All in favor, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay. Resolution number 2. This is a yearly compensation. Be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Rhinebeck that the following elected officials shall, upon approval of this resolution, be entitled to receive the yearly compensation set forth below, effective June 2nd, 2025. Judge Willie Sanchez, $16,500. Appointed Judge John Kane, $5,150. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Resolution number 3. Be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Rhinebeck hereafter the village, that the full-time employees of the Water, Sewer, and Highway Department shall, effective upon approval of this resolution, be entitled to receive the salaries set forth in the table below. Salaries are in effect from June 2nd, 2025 through June 1st, 2026. Will Caruso, Wastewater Department, hourly rate $34.50. Scott Rathjen, Wastewater Department, hourly rate $27.45. Andy McDermott, Wastewater Department, hourly rate $25.75. Jonathan Kraft, Supervisor Highway Department, $32.50. Scott Min, Highway Department, $33.58. Thomas Johnson, Highway Department, $27.56. Ben Zietz, Highway Department, $25. Quentin Green, Highway Department, $25. Thomas Mueller, Wastewater Department, $30 per hour. Matt Green, Water Department, $28.08. Tony Fada, Water Department, $30.04. Brian Alex, Chief Water Plant Operator, $35. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 3.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 4, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Village of Rhinebeck that the following full-time employees shall, effective upon approval of this resolution, be entitled to receive the salaries set forth in the table below. Salaries are in effect from June 2nd, 2025 through June 1st, 2026. Martina McClinton, Village Clerk, hourly rate $31.67. Karen McLaughlin, Treasurer, $47.57. Kyle Amy, Superintendent of Public Works, $36.75. Christine Deneau, Deputy Clerk, $29.58. Patricia Jackalone, Court Clerk, $29.29. Daniel Rector, Police Clerk, $31.66. Justin Noyes, Zoning Administrator, $37.14. Ryan Dowden, Building Planning and Zoning Clerk, $26. Miranda Wyant, Building Planning and Zoning Records Clerk, $25. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 4.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Resolution number 5. Be it resolved that by the Board of Trustees of the Village of Rhinebeck that the following part-time employees shall, effective upon approval of this resolution, be entitled to receive the salaries set forth in the table below. Salaries are in effect from June 2nd, 2025 and through June 1st, 2026. Employee Kenneth McLaughlin, Building Inspector, $17,500 yearly. Brian Conley, Fire Inspector, $31.20 hourly. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 5.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So approved. Thank you all. Thank you for your patience. I'd like to make a motion to adjourn our second meeting of the month, Village Board, at 6:40.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye.